The World Cup could be shaping up to be a FIFA fiasco. Just days before the 2014 World Cup begins in Brazil, stadiums aren't complete, and there are protests among both Brazilians and foreign attendees. What is going on? Joining us now is Mike Bako, sports managing editor of the DailyNational.com. Mike was just here a few days ago talking about this, and we're glad to have you back on. Thank you so much. So is Brazil ready?
No. Plain and simple, they're not. They're doing a test run of the stadium in São Paulo, where they're going to have the opening games on Sunday. The stadium seats 65 to 70,000 people. They're only letting in half of that amount to test out the stadium.
So they're afraid of some structural issues in the stadium?
They're afraid of some structural issues. They're still fine-tuning some of the things.
Why? Did they not have enough notice that the World Cup was coming?
They certainly had enough notice, but just with everything that's been going on, just in terms of infrastructure, how long it's taking to build these stadiums. This one stadium in São Paulo had a few deaths and some construction issues, so they put that on hold. But as you mentioned, 7 years and the countless billions of dollars that went into these stadiums, they should be ready.
Well, and you mentioned billions of dollars. Brazil's economy, part of the BRICS countries, in shambles.
Yes.
And the Brazilians are not happy.
Not happy, protesting in the street. You would figure that for a soccer-crazed country as Brazil is, they would be joyous in the streets. But no, they're protesting.
That's what surprised me. When I first heard about the protests, I was like, but Brazil loves football, and now but this is really too much.
They love football, they love rooting for their team, but what they don't love is being pushed out of their homes, having money go for transportation systems that are not built, shoddily built. You mentioned the economy. The FIFA having the World Cup there is not going to help Brazil's economy in the long term. It'll help it in the short term with tourists coming in.
But then it leaves.
But then it leaves. The stadiums remain.
Doesn't a large part of the ticket money go back to FIFA?
Ticket money goes to FIFA. TV money, which is 75% of the $4.5 billion that are raised from this, goes to FIFA. The money and the prestige that Brazil thinks that they're going to get from this gets lost, especially if they don't have a productive games. If something, God forbid, happens at one of these stadiums, that's what it's going to be remembered for.
We see some protests going on. How serious is the violence, and how might that impact the games?
The violence is real. Just recently now, the violence has turned against police officers as well. So they are trying to make a statement that they do not want these games. It's a bad omen for these 2014 World Cup games, and for 2016. We may be going through this all over again. You wonder if they're going to learn their lessons, and the Olympics in 2016 won't be as violent or as much controversy surrounding
There's also a debate going on about ticket prices.
Ticket prices are high. As you mentioned, the Brazilian economy not doing too well. Even though the demand is high for those tickets, you're going to be getting an influx of visitors from the U.S. Second highest demand for tickets from the U.S. So the U.S. people are going to be going there, cheering on the U.S., spending their money. But again, those U.S. supporters are going to leave right afterwards. So the rank and file ticket buyer is going to be priced out. It's like that all around the country, though.
Let's ask you about sponsorship dollars. Coca-Cola, Anheuser-Busch, some of these big sponsors, are they starting to feel pressure and concern?
I think where they'll feel pressure and concern if the violence spills over into some demonstrations. The money that's being spent on advertising is already been spent. But what you need to take into consideration is, as you mentioned, Coca-Cola, some of these bigger brands, they're going to use this as a showcase to bring over people, have parties. How is that going to look if Coca-Cola is hosting a party where there's violence 2 blocks over, or violence coming to where they're doing their events?
And they went through this a little bit in Sochi with the Olympics. You know, if you're going to sponsor these events, there is going to be a political risk here.
Absolutely. In the U.S., it's a point of pride to be the official Olympic sponsor. But when you go to another country, when you go to Sochi, when you're in Brazil and there's poverty around, they don't want that money going towards advertising, towards parties. They want it going towards infrastructure, education, travel.
Right now, it's easy to beat up on Brazil, but what would make this a success for the country?
I think they don't have to look that much far into the past. Everyone was beating up on Sochi and Russia before the games. Yellow water, hotel doors that weren't opening. Everything was pointing towards a disastrous Olympics. What happened? Everything went off without a hitch. The venues were fine. The hotels were fine. And we remember the Sochi Games as
generally a success.
As generally a success.
Okay, Mike Bako, thank you so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
have you back on and talk more about as the games unfold.